Welcome.
Hello.
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 Tell me about Smaller, this play, what you've done.
It's written by a woman called Carmel Morgan, who mainly writes for Coronation Street, funny enough. So, and it stars Dawn French, Allison Moyet, and an actress called June Watson. It's been good fun, but it's also been quite full of sadness and stuff. We've had a few tears.
Why?
Well, because the play's about a woman looking after her elderly, handicapped mother, and doesn't sound like a barrel of laughs, but it is, you know, and there's lots of fun in it, but it's also quite sad and poignant, and Alison plays Dawn's sister in the play, and so to me it's a bit of a play about the grass is always greener, because Alison's character is off singing in bars in Spain. She's a bit of a failed music star, and which is a stretch for Alison because she's such a brilliant singer, but she plays someone that was never discovered. And Dawn's character is a teacher that works locally, that's the one that's been left at home to look after Mum, who's played by June. So... I
mean, it's a play about relationships.
Yes.
And have you ever thought about doing a play about your own relationships with your own family? Well, I mean, I tell you, I mean, in doing this job, I've read some stories, but yours is one of the most remarkable ones I've ever read, actually.
Really?
Well, it is. I mean, you know, you died when you were a baby, and you were fostered out, and then brought back to the fold at the age of 6, and your brothers looked after you, and all that. You had a drunken dad. And here you are, you know...
Oh, I'm just the vision of health.
But you're... I mean, it must... Let's just go through it a bit. I mean, tell me in your own words. I mean, you've said that you were a misfit as a child. You felt that? Yeah,
I felt very much like a misfit, really.
Why was that?
I don't know. Well, I suppose... I don't know. I suppose I felt like a misfit because I didn't have a mum. And I knew, I was very aware that I didn't have a mum. I had a lot of great women in my life that were looking after me and my brothers, you know, keeping an eye on us, and my godmother, Nellie, and my foster mother, Joan. And, but I knew that my mum was dead, so I was a bit strange. You know, the other kids found me a little bit odd. So...
in what way were you odd?
Well, I never had my hair brushed. I never really changed my clothes much. Do you know what I mean? I was very sort of into going around other people's houses to eat, to have food and stuff like that. I mean, it sounds sort of terribly tragic, but it so wasn't. I mean, I had quite a fantastic childhood, really, because I had a bit more freedom than the other kids, really.
But I mean, you obviously miss your mum in those... I mean, what mums are about are telling you that you're special, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's what you really miss, I suppose, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah.
So you'd have fairly, low self-esteem in that sense, would you?
Yeah, I reckon, but I was also quite boisterous, do you know what I mean? I was quite funny and like making people laugh and stuff, do you know what I mean? And
what about your dad, though? I mean, because he's a large figure in your life, isn't he? He was a drunkard. Well,
he was an alcoholic.
An alcoholic.
I prefer that word because it was a medical complaint.
All right, fine, of course.
You know,
but was he? What sort of a drunk was he? I mean, as far as you
quite a drunk one most of the time.
But was he a violent drunk or what?
Yeah, well, he could be. You know, I mean, you know, the problem with alcohol abuse is that it can change people's characters, and I think my dad was... he was quite a quiet, gentle, shy man, really, and the problem was when he had a few drinks, it changed him. So I like to look back and think that the alcoholic father wasn't really my real dad. My real dad was the guy that, when he wasn't drinking, and the guy that actually sorted himself out with no help whatsoever, and the last years of his life, he was absolutely fantastic, really.
But before that, were you frightened of him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, well, I suppose because I didn't trust him. I mean, I loved him, obviously, he was my father, but I don't think myself and my brothers, we didn't really trust him because we didn't trust whether he was going to be sober or drunk, so... You sort of didn't know which character you were going to get, so so that's a bit sad that we didn't have that with him, really.
Were you reconciled with him, though? You said that he got clean. I mean, that he recovered himself, which takes some doing. I mean, it's a terrible illness. Did you talk to him about
your
relationship? What do you both have to say?
Yeah, well, we sort of had quite a few chats, really, when he was sober, and by then I was drunk, but no. But yeah, you know, I just sort of asked him, you know, why he had to drink. Why did he drink when he drank? And so he told me a lot about his own childhood and stuff, which was something he'd never really shared. Because you know what it's like, when you've got parents, you don't think of them ever being kids, really. They're just your parent, and that's it, you know. So it was quite good to know a bit about him and what he'd been through, really. And he'd been through a pretty tough time as a kid and wasn't very happy, and, you know, so I just think he had quite a lot of problems, really.
What's interesting, too, is that, I mean, given this background, you and your two brothers, and your older brother seems a very remarkable man, because as a young teenager, he brought the family up. He was the mum, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
I mean, he used to dress you for school and all that
stuff. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, John, my older brother, oh, God, he's going to be loving this. He'll be sat there quaffing now with a glass of champagne. No, well, John was pretty remarkable, and so was Barry, really, but John was the eldest, so it was sort of left to him to do everything. Yes. And I just took it for granted. I just thought he was me mum, really, you know. So, but he was a little school kid himself, looking back. Course, and, he used to do his bit. And
Tell me the lovely story that I picked up about the kilt.
I went to this Catholic school, you know, Maria Fidelis, and the uniform was a kilt. And, you know, with these kilts, the front's flat and the back's pleated. But I didn't know. I didn't know which way it was meant to go round, and there was nobody else around except my brother Barry. My brother John had gone to school, so there was Barry, and I said to Barry, which way round does his skirt go? And it was really long, it was right down to my ankles, because it was meant to last me until I was, like, 15 or something, you know. My dad was like, that's the only one you're getting, you know what I mean? So, and Barry was a bit of a mathematician, so he thought the logic thing was that the flat bit should be at the back. Because then you can sit on it better, and otherwise the pleats would get creased. So, of course, I ran off to school all the way from Islington to Euston with a kilt on back to front, right down the ankles, and my hair wasn't brushed, and I was late for school, and I was a bit quite similar to one of Ken Dodd's Diddy men. Do you remember them? I sort of looked a bit like that, really. So.
Did you have dreams in those days? Did you have an ambition? Did you want to...
Well. Yeah, I mean, I did... Well, I don't know. I mean, it's weird being on this. Like, I've avoided doing this for years, really.
Why?
Well, because part of... when I was a little girl, on my own, playing with myself, you know... But one of my fantasies was that I used to pretend to be on Parkinson, you know.
How old were you at the time?
Well, when I was really little... I mean, you were doing this years. How old are you?
You're right, kid.
But unfortunately, I mean, this isn't even like a dream come true, really, because when I was a little girl, I was on this because I'd won Miss World. It's not that funny. I got the biggest laugh, but... and I did, and I used to pretend that I'd won Miss World, and I'd come on Parkinson, and you thought it was great that I was a Cockney who had won the Miss World competition, and then we'd run off together. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see Mary's still going.
Wonderful.
So that was, that was my favourite game.
Oh, wonderful.
Miss World and Parkinson.
Well, it all came right at the end, didn't it, really?
Well,
I
suppose.
So we've got the picture now, this kind of misfit child. How on earth did you get into acting from that? I mean, what was it that got you into it? Who helped you?
Well, yeah, there was a teacher at school, and he was like a supply teacher, I think. He wasn't there much. And I think his name was Mr. Paul. I can't quite remember, because he was an English teacher, but he seemed to only be there for, like, 6 months or something. But anyway, and we didn't really do drama at my school, because it was a nice Catholic girls' school. But I think he just got a bit, well, what can I do with them? You know, at double lesson, it was like, you know, I don't know what to do with these girls. So he started doing improvisation work with us and stuff like that. And he got all his ideas from a book that was written by Anna Scher, who's very famously runs the Anna Scher Theatre. And that was it. I mean, I just started doing improvisations in the class, and then it all got a bit weird, really, because then we always used to end the lesson with me and him doing an improvisation, and that used to make the other girls laugh quite a lot, really.
So it came naturally to you?
Well, I don't know whether it came naturally, but I think when I was a kid, I was a massive fan of Irene Handel and Beryl Reid and those sort of ladies, and so I used to mimic them, really, and mimic the sort of characters that they played. So I used to like being these sort of old bags and char ladies and stuff like that, you know. And
then Mai Zetterling, who directed you in Scrubbers,
yeah.
she took an interest in you, didn't she? I knew her. She was a very attractive and very remarkable lady, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was fantastic. Yeah. I'm very blessed to have known her, really.
And your dad's pin-up?
And my dad's pin-up, yeah, which was extraordinary, because I'd been at Anna Shares for about a year, and let me looking at you like you're interested.
I did well, though.
Yeah, you...
Because you know fantasies about me, did you? No, yeah. No, I
don't. Oh, the night's young. But, yeah, no, and I was at Anna Shares for about a year, and Mai Zetterling, who was a very famous Swedish actress and stuff, and she was directing this film, Scrubbers, yeah. which was a female version of a film called Scum that my old mate Ray Winston was in. And she came along to Anna Shares and then asked me to audition for it and stuff like that. And I had about 3 auditions for it, and then the next thing I knew, I'd got a part in this movie. And my dad was a little bit... my dad was clean then, you know, and very together and stuff. And my dad was like, oh, you know, I'm a bit worried about this, you know. I was only 16, 17, and he was like, what's all this, you know, doing acting all of a sudden, you know what I mean? It was out of the blue, you know. And then I said to him, oh, it's directed by a lady called Mai Zetterling. And he went, the blood just drained from his face because she was his pin-up.
That's right.
And his favourite actress, and he couldn't believe it, really. So then he was very pleased that I went off and did this film with this great star who he loved. And I told Mai Zetterling this, that my dad was a massive fan, but also my dad was slightly worried about me going into show business, you know. And when we finished doing the film, she phoned me up and said, right, I'd like to come round for tea. I'd like to meet your father. So I told Dad, I said, Mai Zetterling wants to come round for tea, and he was like, feck off. She's not coming over and all this. And I remember he made me go up Chapel Market to get proper teacups and saucers. And she was such an old hippie, really, Mai. She wasn't, you know, she would have been happy with a mug and a pipe, you know what I mean? But I had to go out and get all this poncy, you know, china. And she came round. And it was quite wonderful, really. And she went off and talked to my dad in the garden on their own for about an hour. And, you know, and I was just watching him from the window, washing up, and didn't know what she said to him. He never told me what she said to him. But from that day on, he never had a problem with me being in the business, so...
But there you are, I mean, at the top of your game, and then you decide... And then the Harry Enfield stuff, of course, those wonderful characters that you created. And then you decide you don't want to act anymore. Why?
Oh, I don't know, really. It's quite... I don't know, it's just a mixture of things, really. I think I was starting to feel a little bit stale. I was starting to feel a little bit automatic pilot. I think that's the best way of putting it, you know, where I just felt I was just doing it without really feeling it anymore. And because I used to love acting, I really did. I loved it more than anything, and I used to get a wonderful sensation in my stomach, which I think they call the buzz, you know. And I used to get this buzz and everything, and then about 4 or 5 years ago, it just started to go, and I just didn't feel as exuberant about it or as, you know, in love with it, really. And that started to worry me, because I thought, well, this isn't very good. I can't be going out there doing it when I'm not really feeling it and enjoying it, because I think what people liked about me was that it was bloody obvious that I was having a good time, you know, that I liked what I did, you know, I enjoyed the work. So I thought, well, I better just back away from it for a bit. And I on and off over the years, I've directed theatre.
But will you go back and act again, do you think?
Well, I hope so. I really hope that I get the buzz back, actually.
Yeah, you might get back directing. I mean, you must be tempted to get up there and do it yourself sometime. Yeah,
no, I'll tell you what, though, I get fascinated with the 3 women in the play, because I think they're mad to want to go out and do it every night, and it just seems a bit alien to me now.
But it's touring around do 3 or 4 more provincial dates before coming into London.
Yeah, this week coming up we're going to be in Nottingham, and then the week after that we're going to be in Birmingham. Yeah. It's a play called Smaller, and then we're in town in London at the Lyric, Shaftesbury Avenue for about 2 months.
Well, I wish you well with it. It's a marvellous cast, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. Kathy Burke.
Likewise. Thank you, Michael.